in Ayurveda, there's no concept called autoimmune at all. And people think it's only the digestion here, but that's not it. And people have a misconception that Ayurveda is slow. It's not. In fact, it's much faster than any kind of other medication. Sarvangasana is something we recommend to all thyroid patients. That a lot of people think dahi is very healthy. Dahi is not healthy. The body is not going to accept it because it doesn't recognize chemicals. Your body starts to detox between 10 and 2 a.m.
Hello and welcome to this another edition of our conversation with Siddharth. And last time it was very well received and we had touched a lot of topics. So everybody asked us, to go deeper into the subjects. So what we've decided is to do a series of conversations about specific areas. And to start with, I thought that it would be interesting to talk about autoimmune diseases and the condition of autoimmune. So Siddharth, welcome to the show, and I think we have some great conversation to have and great subject.
Right.
So let's talk about autoimmune because I think a lot of people are having that problem. What is autoimmune?
Okay, so firstly, one needs to understand that in Ayurveda, there's no concept called autoimmune at all. Secondly, when it comes to immune system, the modern science or allopathy considers immune system with 9 specific organs, like they say mucosa or the skin or the thymus or the bone marrows, etc. But Ayurveda, in fact, if you see immune system in Ayurveda, that is Vyadhi Kshamatva, is just one small part of the immune system. Otherwise, there is something called ojas, there is something called agni, there are 3 types of agni, and also there are other factors that need to be considered when it comes to the immune system of a body. Okay, so in Ayurveda, when we talk about autoimmunes, in autoimmune conditions of human beings, for example, let's say psoriasis or these kinds of skin-related issues, in allopathy or in modern science, these conditions cannot be reversed. Okay, in Ayurveda, they can certainly be reversed because, as per us, this is nothing but overload of ama in the system or toxins in the system. When we say overload of ama, we talk about undigested food. Like, let's say, for example, I am very hungry now suddenly, and then I start eating a lot of food. There comes a point where my hunger is gone, and I still keep eating. Okay, so the moment my hunger is gone, when my body is satisfied, that extra food that I am eating is an overload, and that food does not get digested by the body. When it does not get digested, it has to go somewhere, right? It does not all go out down. It also gets absorbed. This undigested food also gets absorbed by the body. When that undigested food gets absorbed by the body, there are 3 types of agnis. One is Jathar Agni, the second one is Bhut Agni, and the third one is Dhatav Agni. Now, these agnis cannot act in the right way. Now, just to explain to you what Jathar Agni is. Jathar Agni is essentially the Agni that is the digestive system. As you know, when we talk about digestion, people think it's only the digestion here, but that's not it. There is something called cellular digestion as well. Now, Bhut Agni, for that matter, is whenever we eat food. If you remember in the first part, I talked about food being converted into cells. Yeah, and that's exactly what Bhut Agni is all about. When you eat something in Jathar Agni, they break the food down, and then this food has to be taken to different parts of the body. Okay, creating certain cells. Yeah, right. The new cells in your body. Now, this basically your Pancha Mahabhutas or Panchabhutas as we call it. These are then used from the food. It's taken from the food and to create these new cells. Okay. Now, when cells are formed, after that you have the Dhatav Agni. Now, Dhatav Agni is when a cluster of cells, like let's say you have liver cells. Okay. Now, a cluster of liver cells forms a liver tissue, and a cluster of liver tissues form the liver as an organ. So that is the Dhatav Agni. So you see what all is considered when we talk about in any kind of immune system or any kind of organism, how they function. Okay. So that being said, I think what is another thing which is very important for us to understand is why is it that the body is doing this? Like in allopathy or in modern science, they say that the body is attacking itself. The body will never attack itself. Okay, it's just rogue. The cells have suddenly gone rogue, and why have they gone rogue? It's because of your doshas. Yeah, as we call it, the mRNA, rRNA, and tRNA. That is Vata, Pitta, Kapha. There is an imbalance. Okay, once there is an imbalance of all these three, it starts sending wrong signals to your cells, that is your DNA and your cells eventually. And then your cells have lost its memory and it starts to behave abnormally. Okay.
So losing of memory is what you are talking about is autoimmune.
Exactly.
That's an interesting perspective to autoimmune, which is not obviously considered by allopathy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So what we do is any autoimmune disease or any kind of disease, when it when the patient comes to us, we completely understand which RNA has been destroyed or imbalanced. Then we start giving adaptogenic medicines or these herbs which actually treat or improve the RNA, okay, balance it, so that the DNA can then be repaired, okay, and eventually the right signal goes to the cell and hence the memory starts to improve.
But what causes, just all of a sudden person is normal, mostly this hits in the late 20s or in the 30s that you start you're seeing these cases of autoimmune. What happens at say 25, 35 that autoimmune suddenly flares up?
Right. This is a very good question. In fact, what we see today is the Western world has huge amounts of autoimmune diseases compared to what we see here in this country. But the reason being, one is your poor lifestyle. I think the biggest mistake, Karan, today, which everyone, especially the kids, are doing, is to sleep late and wake up late. The moment you start sleeping late and waking up late, not sleeping by 10 o'clock and not waking up by 6 o'clock, your body, your circadian rhythm or the dinacharya that you follow, the circadian rhythm gets completely destroyed. Your body stops detoxing because your body starts to detox between 10 and 2 a.m. 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., which is the Pitta Kal. That is when your body actually starts to detox. And then the Vata Kal, which is after 2 o'clock, between 2 and 6, is when the body pushes out the toxins. Now, if you're awake during that time, your body is not able to do that, right? So what happens? There's a toxin overload inside the body. And when there is a toxin overload inside the body, your body at any given point in time, I think I spoke about this in the first podcast as well, that there are metabolic channels and pathways inside the body. So these metabolic pathways start to get choked. Now, at the age of 20, if during our times, we didn't have so many chokes because we followed these, discipline. We were disciplined. We followed the dharma and we followed the concepts of Ayurveda. And now the kids don't follow that. So they started getting autoimmunes at 20 and 25, which, our generation must have got it at 50 or 60. And our grandparents had never got it because they followed an Ayurvedic lifestyle. So that is one reason, a poor lifestyle. Second is a very wrong and poor diet. Today, everyone eats outside. I think we covered that in the first podcast. Second is extreme addiction to chemical foods or processed food. When you eat processed food, again, the three agnis are not able to perform properly. And when that happens, half the food remains undigested. And this undigested food then starts to choke your channels. And eventually what happens is your body stops performing its, normal duties.
How do you define a processed food?
Anything which is packed is processed. So I would say this, that anything that you see is packed needs to be, some chemicals to be added to it, right? So instead of going to a supermarket, I would suggest buy from your local farmer, buy from your local, vegetable vendor, and cook home cooked food and eat at home. The moment you eat outside, you have no idea what kind of raw materials they're using for your food. You have absolutely, you have absolutely no idea what kind of chemicals have gone into it. And the moment you eat chemicals, the body is not going to accept it because it doesn't recognize chemicals. A natural body will never recognize chemicals, and that's where your cells which are born, the new cells which are born, are zombie cells. And these zombie cells, or asuric cells as we call it, then start to behave randomly. And that is exactly why you have this young generation who are much more diseased than their parents. They're looking older than their parents. They have mental health issues. All this is because of that.
So, modern immunology says that immune tolerance breaks down, but Ayurveda speaks of a concept of pragya aparadha, which is, some people say, the mistake of the intellect. And could you explain this?
I love this question. This is a brilliant question, Karan. The aparadh or pragya aparadh that we say is something which all of us do at some point in our life, which is wrong choices. Yeah, but at the same time, if we are told that this is, if you do this action or this choice, if you make this choice, this is the result, a smart and intelligent and a wise person would stay away from it. Like, for example, if someone asks you to have weed or drugs, a smarter person or a wise person would stay away from it. Some kids, sadly, cannot stay away from it because they think that that's the right thing to do, to look cool or be nice or, join the gang. Now, when you do these kinds of aparadhs or these kinds of mistakes, there is a karmic, hit on you in the form of disease. It can be any kind of addiction. It can be food addictions, it can be junk food addictions, it can be smoking, it can be drinking, it can be thinking negatively. So all of this is basically, aparadhs or pragya aparadhs, which actually lead or pushes an individual to a disease. It can be an autoimmune, it can also be cancer for that matter.